Hello everybody, welcome to Totally Tabled. My name is Shaggy, and today I'm running down my top 10 most anticipated multiplayer board games for 2026. This is a follow-up to my recent top 10 most anticipated solo board games for 2026 video. Go check that out if you haven't. I normally discuss soloable games on this channel, but I also play multiplayer quite often. So these are the games that specifically don't feature a solo mode that I'm still looking forward to trying out. Number 10 is Stellar Ventures. Stellar Ventures is described as a highly interactive economic game. In space! It appears to have mechanisms from Cube Rail and 18xx games. Now, those are not my favorite board game genres. In fact, the few times that I've played an 18xx game, I absolutely hated it. I hated almost everything about it. The rules felt rusty, ironically, and the gameplay to bookkeeping ratio was way off. The number of decisions to time ratio was also off. I also don't think trains are a very interesting theme. I mean, I could just go on and on and on. So why is this game on the list at all? Well, I'm convinced that Stellar Ventures has a new, fresh take on this style of game. Or at the very least, I want to believe that that's true. Stellar Ventures begins with players purchasing shares of corporations through an initial auction. Whichever player has the most shares in a given company has control over how that company spends its funds. Instead of train lines, in Stellar Ventures, you're buying spaceships to expand your network throughout the galaxy, all the way to alien planets. By exploring these planets, you can actually gain alien technology that can give you a competitive edge, which sounds like a really fun twist. From the wooden components to the whimsical art, this game feels like a refresh that will appeal to Eurogamers like myself. That's why it's my number 10. Number 9 is Misfit Heroes. In Misfit Heroes, you'll first set up a deck of 80 heroes by combining a background card with a plastic transparent character sleeve in order to create a unique 80 card deck. The next time you play, you can remake this deck to create a completely new group of 80 heroes. So you have an endless number of different combinations, which sounds like it's going to dramatically improve replayability. The game you actually play with this 80 card deck is a tableau builder, where each player creates a 4x4 grid of cards in front of them. Once someone completes their grid, the game ends. Each character card you play gives you a special action, like earning money, cards, and influence, and you can combo your played cards with the cards in your tableau, chaining them together somehow. I'm not exactly sure on the details. Ultimately, this doesn't look like the most original game in the world, but I trust AEG, and I've enjoyed many games by Phil Walker Harding, like Sushi Go, Silver and Gold, Cacao, and Archaeology the card game. That's my number 9, Misfit Heroes. Number 8 is Red Dog Junction. This is a pick up and deliver game in space! With worker placement, deck building, and changing markets. Basically every mechanism and the kitchen sink. Players have these cool looking mini ships that can fly between bases and planets, mining for resources or salvaging cargo from wreckage. These resources can be traded using ever-shifting markets. You'll also be able to upgrade your ship, hire crew, and gain one-time special abilities. Now, I'm not a big pick up and deliver fan, but Red Dog Junction appeals to me because it claims to be short, about 15 to 20 minutes per player. I also really love the artwork and the table presence. PU&D is always better when you get to physically pick up the goods and place them in your transportation vehicle, whether that be a spaceship or the top of an elephant like in the old game Bombay, or in the back of a wooden truck like in the new Lacerda game Speakeasy. I'm also a fan of the different locations being bits of cardboard that you can scatter around your table rather than have them like in a set map. It reminds me of Richard Scarry's Busy Town, Busy Airport game that I used to play with my kids when they were young. For that bit of nostalgia, Red Dog Junction is my number 8. Number 7 is Grinivil. Grinivil has a vibe that I can't really explain. Charming is probably the best word. I find it charming and wholesome with its bright colors and adorable houses and trees and little people. The game just screams passion project, which instantly has me invested. Grinivil is a competitive city builder where players buy land, plant trees, build roads, and construct houses, schools, shops, and various facilities that are desired by the residents. You gotta check out these wild-looking cards that show what various residents want to see in their town. To take actions, you move along an action time track that is called TAR, which stands for Time Action Ring. I'm kind of speculating here, but I think the way that it works is that the action you take moves you a certain number of spaces along the time action track. I'm not sure if it works like a turn order time track, like in the game Australia, which I've made a video for on the channel. I think it might not affect turn order and simply just affect the actions that you can take in the future. Either way, Grinivil looks like a unique take on city building and tile laying, and that's why it's my number 7. Number 6 is Avalon, the Riven Vale. Avalon is an Arthurian-based area control and exploration game by Jamie Jolly, the designer of Oathsworn. That alone got my attention, but unlike Oathsworn, Avalon is a competitive game. Not many exploration games are competitive, so that's immediately intriguing. The BGG page also mentions mechanisms like simultaneous action selection, multi-use cards, bluffing, and the prisoner's dilemma. Players will lead their faction through a magical portal to the Isle of Avalon, where players will explore the mists, discover legendary items of power, bond with mythic beasts, hunt for the Grail, and prepare for war. I'm unsure exactly how all these mechanisms come together, but I like them all in theory, especially exploration. You know what? Now that I think about it, that's not exactly true. Avalon's in the lower half of my list because I hate the King Arthur theme. I've seen this so many times before. I find it bland, even with all this juiced up fantasy stuff. Anyway, despite that, I have high hopes for number 6, Avalon, the Riven Vale. Number 5 is Believe in Me, Please. In this silly, satirical, card-driven worker placement game, players embody wannabe gods who are vying for the faith of the masses. According to the description on BGG, you'll use, quote, cunning, persuasion, and divine theatrics to grow your cult, including claiming natural phenomena as your miracles, end quote. You also get to create your holy form by putting different body part cards together. This looks like one of the more hilarious aspects of the game. I'm a little bit of two minds about this one. Most board games avoid this kind of in-your-face humor, and while I definitely wouldn't want every game to adopt it, I can appreciate the theme and tone of Believe in Me, Please. Otherwise, details are a little scarce, so it's hard to tell if this differs from other tableau building set collection games. Hopefully the humor isn't the only unique thing about Believe in Me, Please, my number 5. Number 4 is The Great Sea. This is the next game in the Ancient Anthology series from Garphill Games, which includes, among others, Legacy of You and The Anarchy, which I've made full solo playthroughs for on the channel. Unfortunately, I can't find too much information about The Great Sea, and I can only find like one photo. But here's what I know. Players take the role of Phoenician city-state kings who must create a fleet of ships and try to spread their influence across the Great Sea. As the publisher's description says, quote, the Phoenicians made a name for themselves as master traders, seafarers, and navigators. They dominated the Mediterranean with a focus on protecting their vital trade networks, end quote. So in the game, players can gain victory points through both conquest and commerce. You'll build ships, create and protect trade routes, and invest in new technologies. Specifically, you're trying to control various ancient temple sites across the map. The game ends once a player's temple scoring marker meets up with their combat or trade marker. If you're familiar with how scoring works in Rajas of the Ganges or Ark Nova, this appears to be somewhat similar. I adore this scoring system, and I'm frankly surprised it's not used more often. That's the Great C, my number 4. Number 3 is Race to Kepler, a deck-building space adventure. I'm not sure why adventure is in the name, because as far as I can tell, this isn't an adventure game at all. It's simply a deck-building card game in space! In Race to Kepler, the Earth has become unlivable, so the 20 largest cities around the world have sent spaceships into the cosmos, racing to claim humanity's new home, Kepler 452b. This is an actual exoplanet that is so similar to Earth that it's sometimes called Earth 2.0 or Earth's cousin, at least according to Wikipedia. It's about 1,800 light years away, and it orbits a sun-like star within the habitable zone, about the same distance as Earth is from the sun. With our current technology, it would take our fastest probes over 25 million years to reach Kepler 452b. So hopefully we have some kind of warp technology in this game. The publisher describes Race to Kepler as a, quote, fast-paced, combo-driven deck-building race with energy management, engine building, and an innovative push-your-luck bidding mechanic. So let's go ahead and unpack that a little bit. First of all, it's mechanism, not mechanic. Second, each player gets a city with asymmetric powers that can be activated using energy. The first to 20 points, or rather 20 spaces of movement along the space-time board, wins the game. That's sort of the race aspect. Otherwise, the deck building looks very Ascension-like. The main twist is these Titan cards, which are very powerful cards that players must bid for by discarding cards from their hand. Race to Kepler looks like a relatively simple deck builder with gorgeous art and components. That's why it's my number 3. Number 2 is DECKO. I know what you're thinking. Is this a multiplayer tabletop Balatro? Yes, I think it is. Kinda, sorta. I know what else you're thinking. Is that how you pronounce Balatro? I honestly have no idea. Okay, DECKO plays out like traditional poker. Well, it's 5-card draw with no draw, to be specific. And also, each player has their own deck with 2 copies of each number 2 through 9. A single time during betting, you're allowed to burn a card, permanently removing it from your deck, and then draw a card to replace it. Otherwise, betting rules are pretty standard. If you decide to fold, you get to acquire a new card from the market for free and add it to your discard pile. This is a deck building game after all. The cards in the market have special abilities like, counting as 2 numbers or giving you chips based on other cards played, stuff like that. Anyone who loses or folds the round also gets to buy powerful jokers that will hopefully help you win in the future. The game ends after 12 rounds, and whoever has the most money wins. It's my opinion that poker is super boring unless you have real money on the table. Even then, it's still kind of boring, but at least you might win some money. This looks like it's going to give poker that spice that it needs to be exciting to play without gambling. Also, the production looks really classy, and the card art is super silly, which I think is a great juxtaposition. That's DECKO, my number 2. And my number 1 is Shadow Moon Syndicate. I love themes that explore the criminal underbelly of society, and this one does it in space! Well, actually, on an old mining colony turned major trading hub called Shadow Moon. The publisher has a really great description. Quote, beneath the thin veneer of legitimacy lies a plague of desperate, corrupt, and highly motivated criminal syndicates. Unquote. I love that. Players are going to embody a crime boss from one of these syndicates, attempting to grow their influence on Shadow Moon by manipulating street thugs and corporate operatives. Each of these syndicates is unique with a different play style. So on your turn, you'll play cards in order to place and move influence tokens on the map. You'll be able to carry out crimes and complete missions. And as you play your cards, you'll make stacks that will let you reactivate an action on the card that's on the top of the stack. This kind of card-based area majority gameplay really appeals to me. It kind of reminds me of Ethnos, only a little bit more involved. I think the art looks great, and honestly, it doesn't look very complicated. In fact, the BGG page claims it only takes 60 to 90 minutes to play. That's fantastic. There you go. That's Shadow Moon Syndicate, my most anticipated multiplayer board game for 2026. If I missed a game that you think deserves to be on the list, please let me know about it in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking, subscribing, and becoming a member. I'd like to thank all of the financial supporters of Totally Tabled, including the totally radical Mitch Fisher, Hextra, John Kohler, Scott Myers, and Jay Satterwhite, as well as the totally bodacious Lancelot CNS. If you're interested in becoming a member, you can join on YouTube or my Patreon at www.patreon.com/totallytabled. You'll gain access to my new exclusive podcast, Table Talk, as well as unboxing videos and whatever extra stuff I come up with. As always, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.